Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. And tonight we're going to take a quick look at Hand of Fate Ordeals. This is not going to be a review or kind of an unboxing. I'm just going to take a quick look and kind of tell you guys a little bit about the game. I've only played the game twice halfway through to learn it. I am going to play it tomorrow with a small group of people, so I am really looking forward to that because I do think this is a pretty neat game. At its core, well, let's back up a little bit. It's kind of a weird game because this game is based off of a video game, and the video game was made to simulate a card game. So in that sense, it's kind of like Street Fighter the game, or Street Fighter the movie, the game, or something, something like that. It's like this weird roundabout circle of influences. But at its core, this is a deck building game. Now, I like deck builders. However, it's been a really long time since I've been really into one. I think the last one I got into was me and my buddy Kenny. We played Ascension quite a bit. And that's a pretty cool game with some absolutely amazing art and theme, but it never really, the game itself never really, I thought, captured its theme very well. You were still just kind of doing basic Dominion type things. This game, more so than any other deck builder I've played, feels like it is something more than a deck builder. So I haven't played Thunderstone Quest, but I did not back it because watching the Kickstarter videos, it just did not seem very interesting. To me, it did not feel like it was doing that much different than regular Thunderstone. I'm sure it is, but nothing about it really captured me, and I thought it was really expensive for what it was. This game captured my eye for a couple of reasons. One is I think it looks absolutely fantastic. The colors on the board, the colors on the table on display are striking. The dark red board with the light cards, the art on the player sheets, the player boards, the art on the manual and on some of the special booklets that came with the Kickstarter. So this is the special edition Kickstarter, not a full pledge, but just like the basic pledge. It has a striking and bold look, something that you guys are well aware of that I like. All of the cards just have this incredible, they're very clean, and they're very good at conveying the information. The iconography in this game is excellent because it's very simple. And there's very little clutter on the cards. So on each of the cards, you have just a small little picture and a little bit of text and information with very bold colors, and just, I don't know, it has an interesting look. That's the main thing that drew me to this game. And secondly was, while watching the videos, I really got the sense that this game felt more like a adventure game rather than just a deck builder where you're building combos and just trying to buy the best cards. So let's do a little overview, and we'll try to keep this as brief as possible. So what you're doing is everybody's playing a hero. And another good thing is the minis are really nice. They have this finish to them that I've never seen before. It's kind of a dull, almost chalky finish. I like them a lot. They're completely unnecessary, and it only comes with like five of them, I think. So anyhow, so you start with a character. You can pick a character, and this game can be played in a number of ways. It can be played competitively, as a co-op with a campaign, or with the Kickstarter version with the special edition, it can be played one versus many. where the 1 plays the role of like the bad guy in the video game, and he's dealing out and he's creating the board for the players. But I've only learned it as the competitive game so far. And so there's not really any difference in the characters in the competitive game, just their name, because we all start with the same basic 10 card deck. And what you have is you have your basic resources, which you have, now my mind completely blanked on what it's called in this game. So it's the money. What is it called? It has a weird name. It's not just money. It's like feats or fortitude or something. You may spend, I don't remember what it's called, so we're just going to move on. It's called money. It's called your buying points. Okay, so you start with a deck that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards that have the ability to purchase other cards. And then you start with 2 cards that give you the ability to get food, and you use food to move around the board and to press on in combat. And then you start with 1 attack card. And the combat in this game is quite interesting, because when you have an attack card, you actually don't play the card right away. You bind it or play it next to your weapon. And every character starts with a rusty axe. And you're able to get more, you're able to buy more weapons. So you start with the rusty axe. Then you can also get body armor, head armor, something like a trinket or a piece of jewelry to wear on your side. And then you can get a shield in your offhand. And you can use a shield or something in your offhand as long as you are using a one-handed weapon. And there's 3 different kinds of weapons. There are one-handed weapons, there are heavy weapons, and there are dual-wielding weapons. And each of the weapons has a couple different stats. It has a burst stat, so that tells you how much damage it does. Then it has a number next to it, and in this case the number is 2. So that dictates how many cards you can bind to it. And then the bottom number is how many cards you get to draw when you make an attack to help power up your attack. So if you have an attack card, you bind it to that weapon, and then that weapon now has whatever attack bonuses you've bound to it. However, you can keep those cards bound to your weapon indefinitely until you use them. But each time your turn comes, the first part of your turn is called the fatigue stage. And at that point, you have to pay the cost in money for your how many cards you have bound to that weapon. And it's an all or nothing ordeal. You can't pay for one and drop another. You have to pay for everything you have on your weapon. You pay for it in order to keep it on your weapon. So you do kind of have to think about you have to plan your attacks in advance, which is pretty cool. And so the way you play is you go through I think it's 4 different steps, and it's called fear. So you go through fatigue. So that's the first thing I just showed you. If you have any attack cards bound to your weapon, you have to pay their cost. Then you explore. And to explore, you have to pay a card to get some food, and you can keep food stored up on your character sheet. And for every place you want to move on the board, you have to spend 1 food, and you can only move orthogonally. And so the locations are put out randomly each game, so there will be some variety in how the board is set up. And the competitive game always starts here in town. And each of the locations might have different things. They will dictate what kind of cards you can buy from the dealer's row here. And there are different kinds of cards. There are trickster cards, there are wanderer cards, there are soldier cards, and there are equipment cards. So if those symbols are on the side, that means you can buy those kinds of cards at that location. And then each location might have a different kind of thing associated with it. You might have a combat that you can do. You can spend a certain currency to destroy a card in the dealer's row to cycle through the deck, so it is. And And so if you wanted to move to an adjacent space, you would spend 1 food to move, and then you would reveal that location. So in this case, it was a bustling marketplace. So in this one, you can spend 3 currency to acquire any action or attack card from the dealer's row. So some of them cost 5 or 6, maybe 7. So this is a cool card that here you can buy any card for 3. Now, one other thing that some of the locations have is they have a usage number here on the side. So when you reveal that, you take a usage cube and you put the number here. So if this one has 1, unless there's 3 or more players, then it has 2. And so each time a player moves onto that space and they want to use that space's special ability, they remove one of the usage cubes. So each space, you can only use its ability a certain number of times. Then there are other types of cards. So this is the blacksmith. So you go here, you can use it up to 2 or 3 times. You can discard cards from the dealer's deck until you reveal 2 equipment cards. You may acquire one of these for 1 less. Shuffle the discard pile back into the dealer's deck. So a lot of these deal with getting equipment. Now this is the jack. And the purpose of the game is to beat 3 bosses, a jack, a queen, and a king. And at the beginning of the game, you're going to randomly select one of each level of boss with the jack revealed at the beginning of the game. So this guy is the Jack of Scales. He has 4 hit points that you have to kill him with. He comes with 2 minions, and he gives 4 victory points and 1 shard as a reward when you kill him. So as you're exploring the world here, moving from location to location, having different kinds of adventures, maybe you meet Mr. Lionel. He helps you get a shield, or you can run into a fleeing noble and give him money to get 5 victory points. Or you can explore the Twisted Canyon to resolve 1 pain card to acquire one weapon for 2 less. And so you're going through the land trying to acquire your cards in your dealer's row to build up power to kill the boss. And when you do that, you get a certain number of shards, a certain number of victory points. And then once that's all done, whoever killed the boss takes up all the cards, and then you move on to level 2. So there are level 2 encounter cards. And then you can set up the board in any way you want. And then the second level, you're trying to kill the queen. And then finally, you're trying to kill the king. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most victory points wins. So it's a pretty neat game. Let's take a look at some of the cards you can buy here. So here's the cards we have on dealer row. We have a shield. So a shield reduces the number of damage you lose from each pain card by 1. Now the pain cards this is how the game deals damage to you. It's a random deck of cards. You can lose 1, 3. You can lose health. So different ways to lose money and health and food. And then you also have curse cards, and now these just clog up your deck with useless cards. They don't do anything when you draw them. They just clog up your hand, and they're worth -1 victory point at the end of the game. So so you can get a shield here. You can get a helmet. So this helmet is once per turn. You may play 2 non-basic cards of the same archetype. You may destroy 1 card in your hand or discard pile. So there are ways to get rid of cards. Destroy as you put the card back in the box. There are ways to thin out your deck. Here we have a Berserker Sword, and the different archetypes are shown by color. So red are soldier cards, and these are mainly attack. So this would add 2 attack power to your weapon. Then if you defeat all enemies during the combat, you gain 2 points of resource. This is a trickster card. So these are more like kind of different ways to manipulate the game, this archetype. So take your reward. This gives you 3 purchasing power, and then if you play or have played another trickster card this turn, gain 1 shard. Now the shards are used when somebody defeats the boss. All the players have an opportunity to spend their shards. And the main way you want to spend your shards is on these relics. And these are like super powerful equipment that you can have and you can equip onto your character. And I'm sure you're going to need quite a few of these, or at least one, maybe two, in order to defeat the king boss. And then we have the Wanderer card. So these kind of help you explore. They usually give you some kind of food or allow you to heal. So there's different kinds of ways you can spec out your character. And as you are playing, it really does feel like you're building a character. And it really does feel like you're exploring a land. And that is the one thing I really like. Oh, there's also this deck of Flourish cards. And these are just kind of like the basic cards that you can always buy. And they just give you a 2 purchasing power. So yeah, that's kind of the game in a nutshell. Something that is a little disappointing is the special edition that I don't think is ever going to be available at retail. Maybe it will. I hope it will. Really does come with some nice stuff. So you get these wooden tokens for the food, and it comes with a few extra tokens. The Kickstarter version came with a few little special cards. The special edition also comes with a kind of like a little module that has trap locations and a few extra minions. I forgot to show you. So here's the deck of minions, and you have plague rats and lizardmen and goblins and lava golems and skeletons. So there's not a ton of variety in the enemies, I will say, but a lot of them have different kinds of powers that they inflict on the character, on the heroes as you come out. So like the 2 of goblins, he has a special power called Portal, and if you fail to defeat this minion, destroy 1 piece of equipment from your character. So yeah, that's pretty bad. But yeah, this is a neat game. I can't say if I love it or if I like it yet. I'm interested in it. I've had a good time playing it. I'm really looking forward to playing it, the competitive version, tomorrow night. And I'm also really looking forward to learning the co-op so I can play through one of the campaigns solo. There is one thing about this game, and I do really think that the first expansion should have been included in the box because, in my opinion, so this is the Royalty expansion. I think this is the only expansion out at retail right now. I bought this on eBay just for a regular price. I really do feel like this expansion makes the game feel like a more complete game. And the reason I feel that way is because the base game only comes with 1 co-op expansion for 1 suit. So there's 4 suits in the game, and that's for, I think, like the King of Skulls. It comes with a co-op campaign. This expansion comes with a campaign for the other 3 suits. So you're getting 3 more solo co-op campaigns, plus you're getting a whole bunch of little tokens, not a whole bunch, but a nice amount of little tokens for like kind of like modular rules, different ways to play. You're getting the other 3 miniatures for the other bosses. You're getting a whole deck of new cards, which include equipment, archetype cards, and some of these are double, double archetype. So you have Trickster, Soldier, or Wanderer, Trickster. And then it also has quite a few new location cards and some new pain cards, a few new curse cards. So you're just getting a lot of everything that really adds to, I think, the variety in this game. I really do wish that this expansion had come with the base game because, in my opinion, the base game and this expansion do feel like the full game. This does kind of feel like, to use the modern phrase, this does kind of feel like DLC that was left off the disc, or main game stuff that should have been included. So if you want to get this game, look into getting both the base game and the Royalty expansion. I think you will be happy with it. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do a full review after I've played. I might do a somewhat of a playthrough, or maybe just take a look at a few turns once I learn the co-op game. But I did want to kind of discuss this game because it's not getting a lot of attention, and I think it does deserve some attention. It's interesting. It'll be I am very much looking forward to seeing what else they do with this game because I think it has a lot of potential. So, all right, guys, I hope you guys have a good one, and hope you enjoyed this look at Hand of Fate Ordeals. Have a good one, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.